Poor student married 71-year-old millionaire woman. 7 days later, he was shocked by what he saw. Alex Bennett slammed his fist against the stack of overdue bills, the red final notice stamps blurring before his exhausted eyes. The cramped studio apartment walls seemed to close in on him. 3 jobs, full-time law school, and still drowning in his late father's debts. His phone vibrated, displaying an unknown number. He answered, voice hoarse from lack of sleep. Mr. Bennett, this is Eleanor Westmore. I have a proposition that will eliminate your financial troubles. Meet me at the Westmore Hotel, penthouse suite, 7 p.m. sharp. The line went dead before he could respond. Alex stared at the phone, heart pounding. Who was this woman? And what did she know about his financial situation? If you're enjoying this story so far, make sure to hit that like button to support our channel. Your engagement helps us create more captivating content just like this. Alex checked his watch. 6:58 p.m. As the elevator ascended to the penthouse suite of the Westmore Hotel, a place so opulent it made him acutely aware of his frayed jacket cuffs and scuffed shoes. The law student hadn't told anyone about this mysterious meeting. Who would believe that a complete stranger had offered to solve his financial nightmare? The doors slid open to reveal a suite, larger than his entire apartment building. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the glittering city below. But it was the woman seated by the fireplace who commanded his attention. Eleanor Westmore, with perfectly coiffed silver hair and posture that radiated authority, didn't look up from her tablet as he approached. You're punctual, Mr. Bennett, a quality I appreciate. Her voice was refined, each syllable precisely enunciated. Miss Westmore, how do you know who I am? Or about my financial situation? Alex remained standing, unwilling to sit until he understood what was happening. Eleanor finally looked up, piercing blue eyes assessing him with unsettling thoroughness. I make it my business to know things, Mr. Bennett, especially about people who interest me. She gestured to the chair opposite hers. Please, sit. What I'm about to propose requires your full attention. Alex hesitantly lowered himself into the chair, its plush comfort at odds with the tension knotting his shoulders. You're 25 years old, in your final year of law school at Grayson University. You work 3 jobs yet can barely afford rent. Your mother, Sarah, requires expensive medical treatments for her multiple sclerosis. Your younger sister, Jennifer, is about to start college. And your father left you with nearly $300,000 in debt when he died. Eleanor recited the details of his life with the detachment of someone reading a grocery list. How could you possibly? I'm offering to solve all of these problems, Mr. Bennett. Every single one. Eleanor set down her tablet. I will pay off your father's debts, cover your mother's medical expenses, fund your sister's education, and ensure you can complete law school without financial worry. Alex's breath caught. Why would you do that? What's the catch? The catch, as you put it, is simple. Eleanor's lips curved into what might have been a smile on anyone else. You will marry me. Alex froze, certain he'd misheard. I'm sorry, what? Marriage, Mr. Bennett? A legal contract between 2 individuals. In this case, you and me. But you don't even know me. And you're 71. Eleanor arched a perfectly shaped eyebrow. Yes, I'm aware of my age. This isn't about romance, Mr. Bennett. It's a business arrangement. I require a husband for legal and personal reasons. You require financial salvation. It's an equitable exchange. Alex stood abruptly, his mind reeling. This is insane. I can't just marry a stranger for money. Can't you? Eleanor's voice remained calm. You're drowning, Mr. Bennett. I'm offering you a life raft. You needn't love me. Merely fulfill the legal obligations of marriage. In return, your problems disappear. How do I know you'll keep your end of the bargain? A fair question. Eleanor gestured to a leather portfolio on the coffee table. That contains a contract stipulating everything I've promised. My lawyer can be here within the hour to answer any questions. Alex stared at the portfolio. I need time to think about this. Of course. Eleanor retrieved her tablet. You have 24 hours. After that, I'll find someone else. She returned her attention to her screen, dismissing him as easily as summoning him. Alex returned to his apartment in a daze. 24 hours to decide whether to sell his soul or watch his family crumble. The choice seemed impossible until he opened the door to find his mother, Sarah, hunched over their kitchen table, sorting pills into daily containers with trembling hands. "Mom, you should be resting," Alex said, taking the pill sorter from her. Sarah Bennett looked up, her once vibrant face now gaunt and tired. "Bills won't sort themselves, sweetheart." She gestured to the stack of medical invoices. "The insurance denied my last treatment claim." Alex's stomach dropped. "What? Why?" "Some technicality." Sarah attempted a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Don't worry. We'll figure something out." From the next room, he heard Jennifer's muffled sobs. His sister had been accepted to her dream university, but was preparing to decline because they couldn't afford it. That night, Alex stared at the ceiling, Eleanor's offer echoing in his mind. By dawn, the weight of his family's needs had crushed any moral objections. He texted the number Eleanor had called from. "I accept your offer." The response came immediately. "The car will collect you at noon. Bring only essential personal items. Bring only essential personal items." 7 days later, Alex stood in a private judge's chambers, reciting vows to a woman he barely knew. Eleanor wore a tailored dove-gray suit, her expression inscrutable as she placed a platinum band on his finger. There was no celebration afterward, just a silent car ride to Eleanor's estate, his new home. The Westmore estate sprawled across 30 acres, its Georgian architecture imposing against the evening sky. A wall of windows reflected the fading daylight, giving the impression of a massive, watchful eye. As the car approached, Alex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. Walter Jenkins, the estate manager, greeted them at the door. His impassive expression betrayed nothing about what he thought of his employer's new husband. "Mr. Bennett's things have been taken to the East Wing suite," Eleanor instructed. "Dinner will be at 7. With that, she disappeared down a corridor, leaving Alex with Jenkins. "This way, sir," Jenkins said, leading him through the marble-floored entrance hall. "The East Wing provides privacy." The emphasis on the last word made Alex wonder just how unusual this arrangement was. "Has Ms. Westmore, Mrs. Westmore, had other husbands?" "You're the third," Jenkins replied, his tone carefully neutral. "I'm sure Madam will explain when she's ready." The suite was larger than any apartment Alex had ever lived in, decorated in muted blues and grays. Despite its elegance, it felt sterile, like a luxury hotel room rather than a home. On the desk lay an envelope with his name written in Eleanor's precise handwriting. Inside was a check for $300,000, exactly the amount of his father's debt, along with bank statements showing paid medical bills for his mother and a fully funded college account for Jennifer. Eleanor had kept her word. Now Alex needed to understand what exactly he'd signed up for. Dinner was a silent affair, with Eleanor focused on her tablet between bites of expertly prepared food. Finally, as the staff cleared the dessert plates, she addressed him. "I assume you find everything satisfactory?" she asked. "The money is—" "Yes, thank you." Alex set down his napkin. "But I'd like to understand what you expect from me." Eleanor studied him with those penetrating blue eyes. "Discretion, presence at specific social functions, legal consent for certain business matters, nothing onerous, and living arrangements? Your suite is yours alone. I have no interest in physical intimacy, if that's your concern." Her tone made it clear she found the very idea distasteful. "We will maintain separate lives under one roof. Your time is your own, provided you appear when required." The arrangement was clearer now, but not the motivation behind it. Why marriage, though? Why not hire someone? Something flashed in Eleanor's eyes, irritation perhaps. Marriage provides legal benefits that employment does not. That's all you need to know for now. Alex nodded slowly, recognizing a dismissal when he heard one. As he retreated to his suite, the vastness of the mansion closed around him like an elegant trap. He'd traded one prison for another, albeit a gilded one. The first few days passed in a haze of adjustment. Alex explored the permitted areas of the estate, finding a library that would make his law professors envious and gardens that stretched to a private lake. Staff members appeared and disappeared with ghostly efficiency, always polite but never friendly. On the 7th day of his marriage, Alex discovered what Eleanor had been hiding. He'd been searching for a book on contract law when he noticed a section of shelving that seemed oddly positioned. Curiosity piqued, he examined it closer and found a hidden latch. The shelving swung open to reveal a narrow corridor leading to a room he'd never seen before. The hidden room was an office, its walls covered with newspaper clippings, photographs, and documents connected by red string. At the center of this web was a faded photograph of a man Alex recognized immediately: his father. His blood ran cold as he began to read the clippings. Local attorney implicated in investment fraud. Westmore Pharmaceuticals files for bankruptcy amidst scandal. Harold Westmore, CEO, dead at 65 of apparent suicide. Harold Westmore, Eleanor's husband. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. His father had been the attorney who represented Harold's business partner in a lawsuit that bankrupted the company. Shortly afterward, Harold had taken his own life, and his business partner had absconded with millions. More recent documents showed Eleanor's systematic dismantling of that former partner's life. The man who had died 3 years ago, in a state of financial ruin, leaving his son with crushing debt, his father. "I see you found my project room." Alex whirled around to find Eleanor standing in the doorway, her expression calm but her eyes arctic. "You married me for revenge," Alex whispered, horror dawning. "You destroyed my father, and now your father destroyed my husband." Eleanor's voice cut like glass. Richard Bennett used his legal expertise to help a thief steal everything Harold built. When the truth came out, Harold couldn't bear the shame. "He hanged himself in our bedroom while I was at a charity function." She stepped into the room, running a finger along a newspaper headline. "I spent years building a case against your father, but he died before justice could be served. How inconvenient. So you're punishing me instead. I had nothing to do with any of this. Didn't you?" Eleanor's smile was terrible to behold. "You lived quite comfortably on your father's ill-gotten gains. That prestigious private school, that Ivy League undergraduate degree, all paid for with my husband's blood money." Alex shook his head, backing away. "I never knew. Ignorance isn't innocence, Alexander. Besides, I'm not punishing you. I've improved your situation considerably." She gestured dismissively. "You should be thanking me." "Thanking you? For what?" "Making me a prisoner in this mausoleum you call a home." Anger replaced shock, sending heat through his veins. "What's your endgame here, Eleanor? What happens to me when you're done with whatever this is?" Her expression softened into something almost pitying. "That depends entirely on you. This marriage has a purpose beyond settling old scores. You'll understand soon enough." As the weeks passed, Alex felt increasingly like a specimen under observation. Eleanor would invite him to dinner only to ask probing questions about his moral perspectives, or how he would handle hypothetical ethical dilemmas. She would leave legal documents conspicuously visible, then monitor whether he snooped or respected her privacy. It was a test, but for what purpose? Meanwhile, Alex conducted his own investigation. Late at night, he would slip into Eleanor's study to photograph documents, then research them in the privacy of his suite. What emerged was a pattern more disturbing than simple revenge. Eleanor had married twice before, both times to young men connected to people who had allegedly wronged her. Both marriages had ended when the men mysteriously disappeared, leaving everything to Eleanor in their wills. One night, as Alex was replacing a folder, he heard a noise from Eleanor's bedroom. Through the partly open door, he glimpsed her hunched over in pain, swallowing pills from an unmarked bottle. When she straightened, she caught his reflection in her mirror. Their eyes met, and understanding passed between them. She was dying. The next morning, Eleanor summoned Alex to her office. "Sit down," she commanded, looking paler than usual. "It's time we discussed your future." Alex sat, tensely aware of what he now knew. "I've seen the medical reports, Eleanor. I know about the pancreatic cancer." If she was surprised by his knowledge, she didn't show it. "Then you understand the time constraints we're operating under. What I understand is that you've been manipulating me from the beginning. This isn't just about revenge. You need an heir. Someone legally entitled to your fortune but whom you can control." Eleanor's lips curved. "Very good, Alexander. you're sharper than your predecessors. Yes, I need an heir. But not just any heir. I need someone worthy of the Westmore legacy. The other two men you married, what happened to them? They failed my test. She said it matter-of-factly, as though discussing unsuccessful job applicants. The first was greedy, interested only in what he could extract from the marriage. The second was weak, unable to stand up to me even when principles were at stake. She leaned forward. I disposed of them accordingly? You killed them? Eleanor laughed, a sound like dry leaves rustling. Don't be dramatic. I simply ensured they received exactly what they deserved. Nothing more, nothing less. And what do I deserve, in your estimation? That's what we're determining. She pushed a folder across the desk. Inside is my current will. It designates you as my sole heir, on certain conditions. Read it carefully. Alex opened the folder with trembling hands. The will left him everything. The estate, the business holdings, investments worth hundreds of millions, provided he used the wealth to establish a foundation in Harold Westmore's name, dedicated to prosecuting white-collar criminals. You want me to spend your fortune hunting down people like my father, he said flatly. I want you to ensure no one else suffers as I did, Eleanor corrected. Your father wasn't the only one. The system is full of Richards who use their knowledge to help the powerful steal from the vulnerable. She stood with visible effort, pain briefly contorting her features. You have legal training. You understand how these criminals operate. Who better to stop them? Why should I agree to any of this? You've manipulated and lied to me from the beginning. Because despite everything, Alexander, you have a conscience. I've watched you these past weeks. You could have run, but you stayed. Partly out of fear, yes, but also because you recognized a debt that needed repaying. Her eyes bore into his. Your father took my husband's legacy. I'm offering you the chance to restore it. Is this story keeping you on the edge of your seat? Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below, letting us know what you think will happen next. Alex spent the night pacing his suite, the weight of Eleanor's proposal pressing on him like a physical thing. She wasn't wrong about the debt. His father's actions had devastated lives, but becoming Eleanor's instrument of justice felt like another form of imprisonment. By morning, he'd made his decision. He found Eleanor in the garden, looking frailer in the harsh daylight. I've read the will, he said without preamble. I won't be your revenge proxy. Eleanor's face hardened. Then you'll get nothing. I'll find someone else. No, Alex said firmly. I have a counterproposal. He pulled out a document he'd drafted overnight. I'll establish the foundation, but its mission will be rehabilitation and restitution, not punishment. We'll identify victims of financial crimes and help them rebuild, while working to educate prosecutors about these schemes. Eleanor studied him, surprise evident in her expression. You'd still be going after people like your father. I'd be helping people like you, Alex corrected. The victims. Justice doesn't have to mean destruction, Eleanor. It can mean restoration. For the first time since he'd met her, Eleanor seemed genuinely thoughtful rather than calculating. An interesting perspective, she murmured. But why should I trust you to follow through once I'm gone? Because unlike your other husbands, I understand the pain that drove you to this. Alex sat beside her. My father's actions hurt many people. I can't undo that, but I can try to prevent it from happening to others. Eleanor remained silent for a long moment, then nodded once. Very well. We'll amend the will together. She rose shakily. But know this, Alexander. I'll be watching you, even from the grave. If you betray this trust, you'll find I've left contingencies. Alex believed her. Over the next month, Eleanor's condition deteriorated rapidly. Despite their complicated relationship, Alex found himself attending to her needs with increasing concern. He arranged for the best hospice care, sat with her during the worst pain episodes, and listened as she gradually revealed the story of her life with Harold. He was brilliant, she told Alex one evening, her voice weak, but her memory sharp. Not just in business, but in the way he saw the world. He believed everyone deserved a fair chance. He sounds nothing like the man my father described, Alex admitted. Of course not. Richard needed to justify what he did. Eleanor's frail hand gripped his with surprising strength. That's how these men operate, Alexander. They rewrite the narrative to make themselves the heroes. In her more lucid moments, they revised the foundation plans together. Eleanor's perspective shifted slightly, her desire for vengeance tempered by Alex's emphasis on rehabilitation. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was a step toward something more constructive than revenge. 7 weeks after their wedding, Eleanor Westmore died in her sleep. Alex was at her bedside, fulfilling a promise he'd made to ensure she wouldn't be alone at the end. The funeral was small but dignified. Most attendees were business associates rather than friends, their condolences as formal as their black attire. As the grieving widower, Alex played his part perfectly, accepting sympathies with appropriate solemnity. After the service, Thomas Reynolds, Eleanor's lawyer, approached him. "Mrs. Westmore left instructions for you to meet me at the estate tomorrow morning. There are additional stipulations to discuss." Alex nodded, unsurprised. Eleanor would have contingencies upon contingencies. The next day, Reynolds arrived with a video recording. "Mrs. Westmore requested you watch this alone," he explained, setting up the equipment. "I'll return in 1 hour." Once alone, Alex started the video. Eleanor appeared on screen, looking healthier than she had in weeks. She must have recorded this before their marriage. "Alexander," she began, her blue eyes as penetrating as ever. "If you're watching this, I've passed, and you've surprised me by honoring our agreement thus far. There's something you should know." She shifted slightly, and for the first time since he'd met her, she looked uncertain. "Your father was not entirely what you believe. Yes, he represented the man who bankrupted Westmore Pharmaceuticals, but there's more to the story." Eleanor reached for something off-screen. A folder similar to the one in the hidden room. "Harold was not the saint I portrayed him as. The company was developing an experimental drug. Initial tests showed severe side effects, but Harold buried the reports. Your father discovered this during the lawsuit." Alex felt the world tilt beneath him. "What?" "Richard Bennett tried to expose the cover-up ethically at first," Eleanor continued. "He approached Harold privately with the evidence. My husband, fearing disgrace and criminal charges, offered Richard a deal. Silence in exchange for a percentage of the company. Your father refused." She paused, seeming to gather strength. What Richard did next was still reprehensible. He used the information to help his client loot the company rather than expose the truth to regulators. Lives were still at risk, but now the company lacked resources to issue proper recalls. Both men failed their moral obligations, just in different ways. Alex paused the video, his mind reeling. The narrative he'd accepted, both his father's version and Eleanor's, crumbled in the face of this more complex truth. He took a deep breath and pressed play again. "I'm telling you this now because the foundation you're establishing needs to address a harder truth than either of us wanted to face." Eleanor's expression was grave. "The world isn't divided neatly into victims and perpetrators. Often, we are both." The video ended, leaving Alex in stunned silence. When Reynolds returned, he found the young man staring out the window at Eleanor's meticulously maintained gardens. "There's one more item," Reynolds said, extending an envelope. "Mrs. Westmore amended the will the day before she passed. She insisted this change be presented to you separately." Inside was a single page, removing all contingencies Eleanor had established to control Alex after her death. The foundation requirements remained, but the methods were now entirely at his discretion. In the margin, written in Eleanor's increasingly shaky hand, was a note. "Justice and mercy, Alexander. Find the balance I couldn't." 3 years later, Alex stood at the podium of the newly dedicated Westmore Center for Financial Justice and Rehabilitation. Behind him sat his mother, Sarah. Healthier now, thanks to experimental treatments her improved circumstances had afforded, and his sister, Jennifer, about to graduate with honors. "The Westmore Foundation approaches financial crime from both sides," Alex explained to the assembled crowd. "We advocate for victims while creating paths to restitution for perpetrators willing to make amends. Our goal isn't punishment for its own sake, but a more equitable system that recognizes the humanity in everyone involved." He didn't mention that the center's first case had been a thorough investigation of Westmore Pharmaceuticals, and the drug that Harold had attempted to bring to market despite its dangers. Nor did he mention the settlements quietly paid to families who had suffered in the initial trials. After the ceremony, as guests mingled in the reception hall, Alex slipped away to a small courtyard garden. There, in the center, stood a simple bench beside a flowering cherry tree. The plaque read only, "For EW and HW, may they find the peace that eluded them in life." Alex sat, feeling the spring sunshine warm his face. Eleanor's final lesson had been her most valuable: that the quest for justice, divorced from compassion, becomes another form of injustice. That even those who harm others deserve the chance for redemption. His phone buzzed with a message from Reynolds. Final accounting complete. Foundation fully funded. Congratulations! With Eleanor's fortune now irrevocably committed to the work they had planned together, Alex felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He wasn't her revenge proxy after all, but something she might never have anticipated: her legacy's redeemer. "I think you'd approve," he said quietly to the empty garden. "It's not what either of us imagined, but it's what both Harold and my father might have done if they'd made better choices." A breeze rustled the cherry blossoms, sending a shower of pink petals swirling around him. In that moment, Alex felt something he hadn't expected to find through this strange journey: peace. The marriage that had begun as a business transaction evolved into a test and transformed into an unexpected partnership had given him more than financial security. It had given him purpose. In helping Eleanor find a better form of justice than revenge, he had found his own path to redemption for a legacy he'd never chosen, but had inherited nonetheless. Alex stood, brushing cherry blossoms from his suit. The foundation awaited, and with it, the chance to transform the pain of the past into something healing for the future. Eleanor would have called it justice. Alex preferred to think of it as grace, something neither of them had initially been willing to extend, but both had ultimately found. If you found this story of redemption and transformation touching, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our Heartwarming Stories Spark channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below on whether you would have made the same choices as Alex. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful transformations come from the most unexpected situations.